Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Rubber Stamp Tapestry and another design team project. And for this project, I'm going to use their peg stamp set called Follow Your Heart. And I'm going to use this peg stamp set and create a masculine Valentine's Day card. So we're not really going to focus in on the pinks and the reds and the whites and the purples, those traditional colors that we use. I'm going to only use, though, from the set, these two peg stamps. So the large heart made out of mini hearts, and then the double heart peg stamp. So I grabbed a piece of craft cardstock, and I'm going to treat it with my anti-static powder tool, because I'm going to do some embossing. I'm going to use, I'm actually going to create a background panel, so like my own pattern paper, using the larger heart stamp. And I'm going to do that with only using my Versamark ink and clear embossing powder. So I'm only going to use that one stamp. So I'm just going to stamp this all over the background in different ways, upside down, sideways, to the left, to the right, you know, any type of way you want, just to create that pattern background. After I'm done stamping this image, I'm going to make sure that I don't have that halo. I usually do get those halos, which I'm fine with. But after I'm done stamping that image, I'm going to use my clear embossing powder. Now, you can use colors if you want. I mean, you can use a gold, you can use a silver, or a brown, or a copper, whatever color you would want. I just wanted to use the clear. I like the effect of the tone on tone when you just use your clear ink along with your clear embossing powder. So you kind of get that double effect. Once this is coated, I am going to heat set that using my heat tool. I will check this before I take it to the heat tool just to make sure, again, I just don't have those halos. I do let my heat tool heat up just so that the warping is minimized. For me, though, and it's probably me, it's, you know, when I say it's always operator's error, so that is me, I always get warping. And you know what? I'm good. I can remove the warping by, you know, rolling the paper carefully, or actually putting it between two pieces of copier paper and running it through my die cutting machine between the two plates with nothing else. So that's what that panel looks like. So you've got a nice, again, tone-on-tone look. So now I'm going to take a piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to use the smaller two hearts together. Now I'm going to use my clear, and I'm going to stamp this around this piece. I'm then going to pull in the two colors of embossing powder. I am going to use a silver and a gold, but I'm going to create that mixture. So I'm just going to have, you know, so many golds going across this, and then I'm going to fill in with the silver. So you'll be able to see that. Again, I did pre-treat my cardstock with my anti-static powder tool. Now, for these hearts, I did have some halos. I'm just going to clean them up using a fine, dry brush that I set aside for that. I don't use that brush for anything else. And then I will take it to my heat gun and make sure that they are melted. Once that's done and cooled, I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to stamp my image, going to create that pattern, fill in where I've got these large areas, these blank areas, but then I'm going to use my silver embossing powder. Now, again, you can use, you know, again, a different cardstock color. You can use different embossing powders. You can use blues. You can use coppers. You know, whatever or however you would want to create a masculine look, if that's what you're going for. I did have some more halos going on here, so I just came in with my brush. They were easily able to be cleaned, and I'm just filling in with some more areas to make sure I've got a nice good coverage of the image, because I will be using a die to cut out some images. Again, just cleaning that up and then coming in and making sure this is melted with my heat tool. Now, of course, as I've been using my heat tool, it's a lesser time frame to make sure that it's heated up. If that made sense. Not quite sure. Well, anyway. So now that that's filled up, I'm going to come in. Now, these 3 hearts that I have, they are from My Favorite Things, and they are called the Heart Trio, and they're used for the shaker windows that they have set up. Really, and honestly, I'm just looking for 1 heart, but that was the size that I wanted. So, okay, I'm going to have some more hearts. So here I'm off screen, die cutting, because I can't fit my die cutting machine on camera. And if I do, you all would get very seasick with all of the wiggling that it would do. So, okay, I was just off camera just a little bit. So I chose one of the hearts. Now, I will save them. I do have a little tiny bin that I just throw these things in there and I just hold them. And I don't know, I may use it someday, I may not, but I do keep them. So now the other die that came in is the two-way love die from My Favorite Things. So that one's called Double the Love, and it's the one where love is written from left to right, and then it's written from top to bottom. So I die cut the letters 3 times. So again, I'll save those rings for something, but I'm really just looking for the LVE. And since I die cut it 3 times, I'm layering these on top of each other 3 times, just to give them some dimension, some thickness. Of course, I will use my double-sided foam squares because I need to have even more dimension for my card, which, yeah, it's fine. So once they're layered, I'm going to do the same thing with the hearts. So I also die cut them from plain black cardstock because I didn't want to waste the other 2 that were embossed. So those will be set aside. So I took 2 of the plain ones and layered that as well behind the one embossed. So I'm going to go back to the original panel that I made, and I'm just going to use some low tack washi tape to tape this down onto my mat. I'm going to pull in my T-ruler. Here's a first. Now, for those of you that have watched my videos, you know I don't like to measure. I don't like to pull in a ruler. I don't care if something's straight. All right, I'm giving this a try. So I'm using this, and I'm just pulling this up next to the card base, this card panel, and it'll stop. And I'm just looking at, okay, let's put our letters together just to make sure that I have that spot. I did want the heart to overhang over the L and the V. So here come my double-sided foam squares, and I'm going to use 1 layer of the foam squares behind the L, V, and E. Now, I didn't have to use 3 pieces of cardstock, but I did want them to be just a little bit, heavier weight than the weight of cardstock that I used, because I did pull for my scrap, so it was on the lighter side. Now, when it comes to the heart, I'm going to double those foam squares because I want that heart 2 reasons. One, and in reality, the space between the L and the V is not wide enough for the heart to sit flat. I didn't want it to sit up against the L and the V because it'll sit up against the V but not the L. You'll see what I mean. I'm just saying. So by doubling the foam squares, by doubling those up, it's going to overhang. And it'll be just fine where it sits. And I'm going to make sure that they're kind of in the center. So I'm going to use one of my larger ones so that it doesn't take this long and you're not watching this endlessly. And I'm going to cut another one in half. And again, I'm making sure that it's not close to the edges. Again, I need to be able to fit this along the V. So I don't want it to sit on top. I want it to overhang, but not have the foam squares sit on top. And that's what I'm doing. I'm turning this page to see, okay, where are those foam foam squares going, and I'm going to manipulate it right up underneath that V. So we have that heart now, a little bit crooked, or cattywampus, however we want to call that. It doesn't have to be straight. Now I'm going to use my double-sided tape to put this onto my standard card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And because of the way I made this design, it'll be a top folding card for me. I'm going to remove the release paper, and this panel was cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it will cover the entire front of my panel. And again, that's the beauty of it. When you use a different colored cardstock, your card base can be any color that it wants. So if you just wanted to buy white, there's a cost savings for you. So I do hope you enjoyed this project. By using these peg stamps, they have so much versatility, but the main thing that I love about them is the background pattern papers that you can create on your own. You can have so many different designs. So with that, I hope you did enjoy this. All the products that I used will be linked down below in the video description. If you have a question or comment, please make sure you leave that down below, and I will make sure I get back to you. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell, because then this way you'll know when the next video is ready for you to watch. And by all means, hit that thumbs up as well. I hope everyone's having a great day. But always remember what's most important for me. And we got to make sure we do this every day. Always be creative.